and welcome to Caucasian Journal video interviews. Our guest today is Martin SKALSKY, chairman of the Czech non-governmental organization Armenia and leader of the Center of the Support for Citizens. He coordinates many projects in the countries of the former Soviet Union. So, dear Martin, welcome to Caucasian Journal. At the very launch of our journal, we have installed an air quality widget right on our main page. So no wonder that environmental protection and especially air quality is our top concern. So let me start with this alarming phrase from your website. Tbilisi is among the Europe's top 3 most polluted metropolises. How bad is it now, in simple words? And what are the other 2 cities?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you for your invitation to this interview and to Caucasus Journal. And I also would like to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening to everybody who is watching this interview and who is interested in the environmental situation of Georgia. Well, if you will start from there, then this alarming sentence, as you said, is coming from the report of the World Health Organization that released a comparison of the situation concerning air pollution in over 4,000 cities from 100 countries. And so it's very wide research. The WHO is publishing these reports regularly, so it's trying to compare the situation. And they are mainly focusing on the dust particles, solid particulate matter, which is one of the major pollutants of air in our cities, because these very small particles of dust, they basically are somehow attracting dangerous chemical compounds that are basically sticking to this dust. And when we breathe polluted air, we are breathing in not only the dust, but all the chemicals that are somehow stick on these dust particles. So that's a very good indicator of the environmental situation in our cities. And well, in the last published report, unfortunately, Tbilisi was on the 3rd position as the 3rd most polluted city from those compared in Europe. The other 2 were Ankara and Skopje, Ankara in Turkey and Skopje in Macedonia. The situation is quite serious because, in particular in Tbilisi, the level of the pollution is 3 times higher than the recommended levels, basically, let's say like the safe levels for the health of the people. So it is quite serious. And also the report of WHO shows that this situation, because the pollution is not only today, it's like a long-term pollution, and people live in polluted environment for very many years. So it's affecting their health. And now the WHO says that almost 40% of people in Tbilisi suffer from some lung issues. And they basically compare also the number of the death and number of the people with some serious diseases that are connected to air. And then at the end of this article, they basically conclude that every year almost 4,000 people in Georgia die in relation to the serious air pollution. So it is definitely something that we should be concerned about and we should deal with. What is necessary also to mention is that like to understand the whole picture of how serious the situation is, it is very difficult nowadays because there is a lack of valid and reliable data in Georgia. So something that we are now trying to overcome in our projects and our activities in Georgia, because the state monitoring of air pollution is not fully developed, and there are not many sources of adequate information to really assess what is happening now.
Let me ask you why Armenia became interested in the South Caucasus, and how did your cooperation start?
I can say that me personally, I first visited Georgia in 2001. So I know the country like since yeah, since that time. And 2001 was also the year when my organization Arnica was established. So this somehow, let's say, interest in what's happening in Caucasus dates the why we are interested to work in Georgia. There are actually very many reasons. One of the most important ones is that Georgia belongs to the environmental or to biodiversity hotspots, let's say. So um, the amount of untouched nature and the variety of the landscapes and biodiversity is unique in whole Europe. There are basically only two regions that are similar in whole Europe, and it's Western Balkans and Caucasus. So these areas are extremely valuable concerning the nature conservation and nature values. And we as environmental organizations are very interested to support any efforts to protect and preserve this heritage that you have, because it's really something that we cannot see in Central Europe, for example. There's nothing compared. So Caucasus is a very small area, but also very rich area concerning this nature. So that's basically one aspect. The second, which is also important to mention, is that Georgia for the decades is somehow balancing the conservation and protection of this valuable nature, and also social and economic challenges or development. So there is a big danger or risk that some of the values might be lost because of some economic projects, or because of like the expectations of the people to change their environment and implement maybe some economic activities. This is basically also what we have seen in many countries of the European Union, and it is very important now to try to find different ways of development for Georgia to mistakes basically, and to damage or destroy those values. So that's another reason. And the third one is that Czechoslovakia was also, we were not part of the Soviet Union, but we were in a strong influence of the Soviet Union. So some of the problems that we are facing are somehow similar, because we have quite long similar history with Georgia, like the modern history. And we also have some experience from the transformation of our country from like post-Soviet to, let's say, some current version of Czech Republic. So this is also the story that we would like to share, and we would like to basically say what are our maybe good experiences, and also some of the experiences that we would not suggest to repeat. So that's basically another reason.
Well, from your experience of cooperation with your projects in Georgia and Armenia, what are the brightest episodes or impressions which you might wish to share with us?
Since my first visit in 2001 till nowadays, I'm always impressed by extreme hospitality of the Georgians and kind of welcoming attitude, especially when I go to any rural area, like to countryside. And that's related obviously also to very nice cuisine and all the traditions that you still preserve. So for me, working in Georgia is always extremely positive, somehow nice experience, because the people are extremely friendly.
Let me ask you about your local partners in Georgia and Armenia. What must be improved in the local organizations here from your viewpoint? What are the know-hows and experiences that Arnica can contribute through your cooperation activities?
What we see as a very big benefit of them, it is how they work with the public and how they work with information. They are basically able to influence and address a very large segment of Georgian society. And probably because they are young, they are also not afraid of some sensitive topics or maybe some controversial campaigns. And this is something that we really like. We think that they basically need some more or less stable financial support, which we are now trying to provide, because if organization is young, there is always a risk that maybe the resources will somehow end up and they will not be able to continue because they have other duties. Greenpool people, they have their jobs, their universities, so they also need to have some more stable, let's say, structure in the NGO to be able to continue their activism. And the other thing that we are bringing is, let's say, some technical knowledge, because we are now an organization that is not young anymore. We have a lot of expertise, a lot of experience with previous projects. We have many experts inside, and we also work with external experts from, for example, several universities within Czech Republic. And we also have some good relationships with some of the state authorities in the Czech Republic. So all these connections, experts, and some of the experience is something that we would like to slowly transfer into our partner organizations so they can work more professionally, because activism is the most important anyway. But what is also very important is expertise and arguments based on facts. And that is something that we consider as absolutely necessary for any public campaign.
Now perhaps can we talk about some of your concrete projects which you have implemented or you will be developing in the future?
We are now working only for the second year in Georgia, so we are also very new, like concerning projects, because we were interested in Georgia for a very long time, but we somehow didn't really have activities as such in the country. And what we started now to develop together with My City Kills Me is the civic or citizen monitoring of air pollution, because as I mentioned at the beginning of our interview, there is a lack of reliable data for Georgia about. So now we are manufacturing the relatively cheap devices that can measure the air quality, and we are creating a network of volunteers who will participate in the monitoring network. So in few years there will be probably, hopefully, enough people who are interested to support and join, and enough devices to measure. So we will have a much more clear picture about the situation in the country. The project is quite unique because it's the first project of citizen science in Georgia. And also the approach of building a network of volunteers it's not very unique, but it's a little bit innovative also. We are not trying to build a structure that will need like some huge financing in the future. So everything is basically volunteer based. And so at the end of 2025, we will see some result of it, hopefully, and then we will decide what to do next.
Well, I really wish you a lot of good luck with this, because it's very, very important. We have seen your data on Georgia's air pollution as seen from the space, which is very, very impressive, of course. Is there something that must be done to make your findings more widely known and better understood? And my general question is how to ensure that the countermeasures would be adequate. And what about the Czech experience in this regard?
Yeah, this is actually crucial, because how to make sure that something will happen is basically also our question, and we are still not sure about the answer. But the most important as a first step is the knowledge and existence of the information and access to information. So also the fact that we are now talking with each other today is very important, because you as a journalist are helping us to distribute information to the people, not only like general people, but also authorities, municipalities, decision makers. So that's the first step, and we need to focus on this first step a lot, because now it is still that many people in Georgia are not fully aware of the situation, and also many of the decision makers are not fully aware. After that, we believe that there's very important and crucial role of the civil society and NGOs who are active in the field of environmental protection, because those are usually those actors that initiate the changes. So we would like to support some more civil organizations in this year in other cities, because My City SKALSKY campaign works mainly in Tbilisi, but as we see from our recent report, there is very concerning situation also in Rustavi, Kaspi, and other places in Georgia. So now we would like to focus also more on these locations and to um, to support active civil society organizations that are there. Then we believe that slowly some municipalities will start joining, because those are also the actors that are on the low level, that are in daily touch with the situation. And in the future, it will be necessary to affect the political decisions, but this is the most difficult task, because Georgia is now lacking some regulations of the industries and some other basically legal and political tools to change the situations.
How can you compare the environmental situation in Georgia, Armenia, with the other countries in Europe or elsewhere where you have worked, perhaps? So we could see the situation in our countries in a global context.
Yeah, now actually European Union is definitely one of the leaders of nature conservation and protection of nature, protection of environment. But if we have a look to the past, then European Union countries mainly destroyed their nature because of industrialization. We are now in European Union protecting what we still have, but most of what we had before was already destroyed. So Georgia now has a unique chance basically not to repeat the same mistakes and somehow find more sustainable solutions. What is also experience of the Czech Republic in particular, Czechoslovakia was an industrial country since like last 200 years or maybe even longer. It was always like industrial place, and it caused a lot of problems. And at the end of communism in 80s and 90s, Czechoslovakia was one of the most polluted, most dirty countries in whole Europe. And our levels of our air pollution were absolutely extreme. And also the first demonstrations in Czechoslovakia, they were not demanding democracy or freedom, they were demanding clean air. If we see the Czech Republic nowadays, 30 years later, we still have industries, but they are not polluting that much because the technology's changed. Georgia should basically also not focus on industries too much. It should still keep focus on nature, tourism, services, some smart technologies, because it's very different country than Czechoslovakia, and this should be the basis of the future development.
Would you like to mention your organization's achievements, maybe in other countries or at home in Czechia?
Relatively recently, we managed in cooperation with the local organization in ALAVERDI in Armenia to close down the factory that was in ALAVERDI. That was also a metallurgical plant that was heavily polluting the town. So we see it as a good improvement, because the factory was basically not able to modernize. So it was probably better to close it down for now. And also ALAVERDI is a place with amazing nature around, and there are some very old monasteries also that are now not much visited because the town was well known as a polluted place.
Let me ask you about the relations with the government agencies. Do you find the state organizations helpful and or friendly to the public initiated activities in our countries? Can you comment on any experience of interacting with the official environmental protection agencies?
This is not a very positive experience. We also invited your Ministry of Environment to the project somehow, because we expected that they will be also interested in getting new information about air pollution, and we also offered them bringing Czech experts from the Czech institutions to Georgia and making some maybe workshops, maybe some trainings, maybe some discussions with the Georgian state officials, and to exchange experience, and maybe also to help to bring some knowledge from the Czech governmental organizations to Georgia. But they were not interested in anything, in any cooperation, and they also didn't want our citizen monitoring to start. They were even asking our donors to cancel the project because they were saying that it is illegal for the civil society organizations to do air pollution monitoring, because it's a duty of the state organizations. We were very much surprised because we expected that our offer of some experts and some resources and some knowledge can be useful for your ministry and your organization. Fortunately, we are not able to find some understanding till nowadays, even after several reports that we published. The governmental structures of Georgia are not interested at all. So we hope, for us it's also something that we would like to see some more interaction and more friendly communication, because we are somehow criticizing government a little bit. It is true that the government is not doing enough, but it is also our role as NGO. But at the same time, we are offering cooperation and somehow experience and knowledge from the Czech Republic. So we will see what will happen next. We have quite positive communication with some of the members of the parliament and at lower levels of the state administration, from municipalities and some state organizations. So it's not entirely negative experience, but at the high level of the ministry, unfortunately, we still cannot find some positive communication.
Let me ask, is such a problem kind of unique to Georgia, or you had similar, maybe negative experiences with governmental agencies in other countries or in Czech Republic?
The situation in each country is unique. So in some of the cases, we have more friendly communication with the governments. In some countries, not. It's also very much affected by elections and which political parties are currently at the power. For example, at the beginning of the Czech Republic in the 90s, there was a very strong will to deal with environmental issues and environmental legislation and environmental concerns. It was basically one of the priorities of our new government. Now it's a little bit different. And in some past years, environment was not a priority at all.
Thanks to your activities, many air quality monitors have been installed in Georgia. And many people, including myself, would like to install them. But what else can people do in practice? What actions must the citizens in Georgia take to ensure that the environment is in fact improved?
We are very happy that people are interested in installation of the citizen science air pollution monitoring stations. The production capacity is not very big. We finished installation of 30 stations last year, and we expect to have maybe 30 more this year. But now we have quite a lot of people who are interested to join the network, which is amazing. Now the stations are mainly installed in Tbilisi, some in Rustavi, some in Kaspi, but we need to expand the network to cover whole Georgia. What is the necessary other step is that people must be active and demand some changes, and it's also important to support some local NGOs, or maybe establish your NGO. It is also important to mention that we all need to have good political representation. Georgia will have elections soon, and if we will not try to help those who have some environmental focus, then we will have the politicians that will have complete a different agenda. So this is really crucial, and it can change many things if we will have better political representation. So yeah, maybe the last what I would like to mention is, like, people should also think about their personal impact on on nature and environment. So it's up to avoid buying things from plastic or driving a car, but sometimes we can just implement small changes in our lives that will somehow help to save our planet for the future generations, and it's also very important.
Well, let me thank you very much, and we wish you a lot of success in this very, very important work. And of course, if there is anything that we can do for you as Caucasian Journal, please contact us. We would be very happy to assist. And again, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure on my side. See you soon again.
We cover what matters. Caucasian Journal.